Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever. Jeez, and you go in front of the camera?
Excuse me.
You walk in front of the camera? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first ever Easy Ian podcast. I don't know if we'll keep that name, and I don't know if this podcast will keep going, but I'm very happy to be starting our first one with our first guest. A little about our first guest. He's a gentleman and a golfer. He is a younger Dryas observer. He's a son and a grandson and probably a great-grandson too. He's a best man. He's a lover of beautiful and good things. And most importantly, he's a DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and let me introduce you to DJ White Mike. First and foremost, I got to give a huge shout out to our partner, The Emporium, where you can get all your shit on your Amazon wish list that may or may not be here. And if you can find it, it'll be a smoking deal.
But you can't.
I personally love their record collection and the artwork. But they also have workout stuff and women's underwear. And all the stuff, it may not be opened. Well, it's probably open, but it's not used. So all the stuff here is unopened or opened, but not used.
Gently used by mostly women.
If you're ever around Chandler, Arizona, I strongly recommend coming down here and checking out the Emporium. All right, that's our commercial.
Humble free speech.
Are we back?
You're always back.
And go.
All right. DJ White Mike, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you making the time for this. As you know, this is my first show. It's my first time ever wearing the duster. Hopefully the first of many. So I appreciate the time you taking and coming down here. And it's always a pleasure to be around you. So I want to, make sure that your name gets out there in the world and more people can know about you and what you got going on, what you're doing on the golf course, what you're doing on the DJ tables, and just kind of more about what you're doing in life. Because, I think you're an interesting guy, and I'm sure the rest of the world will too. At least I hope they will. So, let's start off with the golf course. How's the golf course been treating you? What have you been hitting out there? How's your game going? That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, thanks for the introduction. You made me sound much more interesting than I really am. But yeah, the golf game, I haven't been playing much. But it's still pretty good.
When you say you haven't been playing much, how often is that?
I've probably played 2 times in the past 4 weeks, roughly. So like once every other week.
Okay, and if your handicap, what's your handicap around?
It's a 4.
So if your handicap's a 4, would you say that if you played twice as frequently, how much would your handicap improve? Would you improve 1 stroke if you played twice as much? Or how important is getting out on the course for you, and how does that affect your handicap?
It's very important to get out on the course. It's a practice sport. It's all about feel, so the more you play, I think the better I do. So yeah, if I played twice as much as I play now, so once a week, I'm probably not taking that many strokes off my handicap at a 4.
I hear you.
It's probably not going too much lower than that, but at the lowest, I think it was like a 2.3 or something, 2.3.
I hear you. It's tough out on those streets. As you know, I'm like a 16 and a half, 17. And I never practice and I never warm up. So how important do you think it would be for me to practice and warm up before I played? If I'm a 16 and a half now, even if I played the same amount, which is once or twice a month, do you think I could improve by practicing or warming up? Or do you just think that for me it's more of a natural talent thing?
Yeah, you definitely could improve from practicing and warming up, absolutely. I used to also not practice or warm up. I still don't practice much, but warming up is something I do now. And it helps, loosens your body up. Normally by the back nine, you're like feeling pretty good. But if you loosen up and warm up first, that starts earlier in the round of feeling good and know what type of shots you're going to hit when you're there instead of stepping up to the first tee, having not grabbed the club in 2 weeks. And who knows?
Who knows? And for those that don't know, we live in Arizona where it can get up to 125 degrees in the summer. So I don't think warming up should be an issue for anyone. It's plenty warm out there, and warming up in practice is not for me.
Yeah,
but
warming up
I
with a
respect.
beer.
Oh yeah.
A beer and a shot before the round is the true warm-up.
Yeah. And for me, as far as drinking on the golf course, I have a sweet spot, I feel, where
7 beers.
it's between 3 and 11 beers.
So 7.
So when I'm between 3 and 11, that's kind of my sweet spot. And that's where I want to be. Anytime I'm between 3 and 11, I'm feeling it. The confidence is up. I'm more of a vibes guy on the course.
Vibes.
And
Big vibes guy.
golf is 69% mental. So
69.
when I'm in the sweet spot, that really helps me. So I've heard it live. You've heard it live. I've been there. I've been there with you through the trenches, through it all. I can't wait to see where you're going. And I just hope this helps you get some exposure starting off early. Just want to know kind of what you're seeing there, mixing it up. If you're got any good playlists going, and what you think your future is in the nightclub and DJ scene.
Yeah, thanks. Again, for the intro to the DJing thing. Yeah, I see myself definitely playing in some clubs. I think that would be super fun. And as far as playlists lately, some days I wake up at 3 a.m. and that's when I make the best playlists because I can't get back to bed.
So you mostly feeling house music lately, or
I've actually
what's the
been
genre
on,
of choice?
I've actually been on some like techno, like a little bit harder than house.
Harder than house.
A little more higher tempo.
I didn't know it got harder
but
than house.
Still melodic, more like techno-y than house.
Okay. And do you feel like that's just like a personal choice of yours, or you feel like that's what gets the party bumping? Like that's these days what the kids are listening to, what they want to hear, or is that like your personal preference, kind of what you want to hear?
Yeah, no, I was up at 3 a.m. laying in my bed with my ear pods in. This is all for me. I wasn't trying to find music for anything other than I was just like, this song's tight. And listen to it and then add it to a new playlist and then have a decent playlist created.
So do you feel eventually the people are going to want to listen to what you like, or are you going to ever try and modify your career, your playlist, your song choices around kind of going mainstream, selling out, going for what the people like?
I'm never selling out.
He's not selling out, ladies
No,
and gentlemen.
but,
He's not selling out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if I was like hired to DJ somewhere and they were like, hey, like play house music, I'm going to play house music. But if I'm doing my own thing,
you're doing like underground German,
I'm putting on
dark stuff.
Like, like I'm going somewhere, they're like, hey, like we have a genre. Like probably not going to be the only DJ playing that night. Maybe I am, maybe not. But I'm going to play the genre that the venue is asking me to play in general. But then I could curate something. But when I'm awake at 3 a.m., I'm just listening to everything. I'm just listening to new shit and putting it in a playlist. And it's because I like the songs. Like I'm adding songs that I like. But then once I find out the genre, the venue you're playing at, they'll be like, hey, we want you to play this type of music. It's like, oh, cool. I have like a library of tons of music that I've listened to by myself. I'm like, oh, this fits into this genre. This song's tight. I think it's tight. Other people will think it's tight. So that's how you start building like a specific playlist.
I love that. And I've always wondered, how do DJs find their music? And by no means do I want you to give away the castle, give away the keys to the castle and tell the world any secrets that you're sworn to.
There's no secrets.
Any DJ super secrets. However, I would kind of like to know, how do you find your music? Like, you can't just be listening to random Spotify. I feel like Spotify is a little too basic to have the
No, it's
new
not.
remixes.
Spotify's got a bunch of stuff.
So how do you? So you just find all your new music on Spotify, or are there other
I mean,
websites or anything?
I hear a lot of new music on like social media, like even Instagram, just going through reels, like following like different accounts that will play like track IDs from like music festivals that are happening like same day, or that just happened recently, and they'll play like track IDs from DJs that aren't released yet, and then you could like make notes about those tracks and then keep track of when they might get released. You could follow the specific tracks that you like, or like I just hear things, and a lot of times Apple Music, Spotify, they'll have stuff. I mean, the newer stuff that you hear, maybe not. But like SoundCloud sometimes will have cool remixes and stuff. But like social media, I have Apple Music, Spotify. Just hear stuff.
Okay, and curious what kind of hardware you're on right now. Like, is it like, I know you have decks, but what kind is it? Like, what software are you hooking up to those decks? Do you have like an external laptop that you use? Like, what do you use for the sounds?
Yeah, I have a MacBook. It's pretty old. I think it's like a 13 or something. I don't know. It's pretty
13.
old, but it still
Good
works.
year.
It still works great. It still works amazing. But I run Ableton to like make beats myself, and then Serato DJ for when I like DJ, and then I still have the same CDJs that you got me. And I
Wow.
don't remember what brand it is. Sorry, brand.
Neither do I. So, for those that don't know, DJ Wade Mike and I just took a trip to Las Vegas, Nevada, where we spent 3 days. For me, it was 3. For Mike, it was 4 days, but 3 to 4 days of revelry and libations. And Mike is a high stakes gambler. He's rich for my blood, but he's not afraid to throw down in the casino, and it's fun to watch. I watched Mike live and die. I watched Mike alive and asleep. I watched Mike hungry and feasting. I watched Mike at a rock show with a bloody nose with 2 police officers that were females. And Mike and I had a pretty good time in Vegas. There were a couple instances where we had a little bit of a wrestling match in the timeshare Wyndham Desert, but that's neither here nor there. That's from my family to yours. And when all was said and done, we ate a couple bags of Doritos and salsa and I think cheese and meat. And Mike insisted on sleeping on the floor, so I tried to lift him like a big 1,000-pound slippery tuna into his bed. But I got him into his bed where he slept, and he probably felt a lot better the next morning. But getting back to it, Mike is a high-stakes gambler, for those that don't know. He plays minimum $50 hands, and he's not afraid to risk it all when he's up thousands or down thousands. So, Mike, that's my perspective, and I understand there can be different perspectives on a long weekend. So I think the viewers might be interested to know what your perspective on the weekend was.
All right, so I got to Vegas on Thursday night with Cam, and we did mushrooms immediately. As soon as we got to the room, mushrooms, drank some beers, straight to the MGM Grand, where we played bubble craps.
Lovely casino.
And I had the strategy on bubble craps. I was playing the bubble craps. I was playing the numbers. And I was doing pretty good on bubble craps. Cam lost like $400. Like pretty quickly.
And $400 is a lot when you're on mushrooms.
Yeah, we were looking at the bubble craps machine. It was like moving. We were like, oh. But it was fun. He lost like $400, and I was like, dude, I feel bad that you lost $400. So I was like, I'm gonna play bubble craps, and I'm gonna win $100, and I'm gonna give it to you, and then you're gonna make your money back. So I played bubble craps, and I won, and I gave him the extra 100, and then he went and played. I was like, just put it on a hand of blackjack. He went and put it on a hand of blackjack. There was like a couple other people at the table, $100. It was $50 minimum, so it was like, wasn't that much, just 2 minimum bets. But he puts $100 down, dealer, blackjack, immediately lost. And I was like, damn, I still feel pretty bad. I'm like, let's do it again. So we go back to bubble craps, $100. I win another 100, give him another 100. And I'm like, you're going right back to the blackjack table. Let's see if you can double it up.
So if you don't mind me interrupting, on a scale of 1 to 10, at this point, how drunk are you?
The least drunk I was since you saw me, for sure. I was
Okay.
like more drunk in the morning when you saw me than
Okay, but that was Friday morning.
this was Thursday.
Yeah, so this is Thursday, so pretty mellow night Thursday.
Yeah, just shrooms,
Okay.
not as many drinks.
Okay.
And so we went back to the blackjack table. He put another $100 down, and he won. And I was like, gotta win 2 hands in a row. He's down $400. Hits again, and we win. So he's up 400, and I was like, I gotta have my commission. So I took like half.
So
now
what's
he's
your
at
commission?
200.
What's your commission on a bet like that?
Well, since it was my 100 that I won him anyways.
Right,
I
but
took
like,
half.
but
So
if he
got
lost,
200.
but just for comparison, if he lost that 100, he doesn't owe you 50.
No, absolutely not.
Right. So it's
Absolutely
a one-way commission, no
yeah.
risk for him. You're just
If
being
you
a good
lost
guy.
it, you don't owe me anything. I
Right.
gave him. I won
Right.
him that 100. I gave him the 100.
Okay.
I wanted him to get back to 400.
Sounds like you're a man of honor.
Man of honor, but I
Okay.
wanted some commission. So I got some commission, and then
Don't
he
laugh.
put like 100 in top dollar slot machine, lost, didn't win it, and then I think he lost another 100 in bubble craps or something, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm done doing this. So that was the end of the Thursday night. That was pretty late.
Okay, so Thursday night was before I got there. I got there Friday midday.
Yeah, and just that whole day is a blur to me.
So this is neither here nor there, but for those of you that know me, I have airline status.
Oof.
So I was A9 on the flight to Vegas.
Oof. Big baller.
But I'm also a man of honor, so I was planning on working all day. When Rob texted me that he was on the earlier flight to Vegas, I bailed out of work. Swapped flights about 20 minutes before boarding, and they put me at C46. And I'm not a C46 guy, but I was in a C46 seat on the plane. So all I wanted to do was get off that plane. And when I landed Friday earlier than I should have with Rob, you were closer to an 8 or a 9 out of 10 drunk.
That's because we
Friday.
went down to the lobby and we
So,
were playing darts and
If we
having
could back
unlimited
up,
drinks.
if we could back up a couple hours, starting Friday morning when I was at work.
Jimmy got there early Friday.
So you get there so Friday morning. What happens?
So Friday morning, Jim got there pretty early. So we went down and got Jim, brought him back to the room. He got settled in. And then at like 10 o'clock or 10:30, the bar in the lobby of the hotel started doing like unlimited mimosas and unlimited like Bloody Marys from like 10:30 to 12:30 or something. So like that's where we were, and we were just drinking.
So unlimited drinking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many would you say you had?
Unlimited. I don't know. I had as many as I could have as a human in the 2-hour period.
Okay. So that's how it
And
started.
what time did you get there?
So we departed Phoenix at 1:46. It was a 45-minute flight. You do the math. About 2:30. In and out of the airport quick. Not as many people in the Vegas airport as I thought for March Madness. Revenues are like 40% down on the strip. So it wasn't as busy as I thought. It was still busy,
It was pretty busy.
but March Madness should be busier.
I thought it was good.
But that's neither here nor there. So I landed.
I thought it was popping.
And you said that you were dessert for the occasion. And I think what you meant was you were dressed for the occasion because you were dressed very nicely.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's where I wore my black button down that night. for really
Yeah.
no good reason.
And he had a black button down that he wore starting at like 9:30 in the morning. And that thing made it to maybe noon.
Look great.
Maybe noon. But he looked great for those 3 hours.
I didn't wear that to dinner.
No. So dinner
Oh, I
was
did.
another thing.
I thought I did.
So we land and we go to the Aria. Play some games.
Aria was a good time.
And then we go to Din Tai Fung. And
yeah. Post-production.
I know everyone on this podcast is going to think I'm a sellout and everyone's going to say Din Tai Fung paid you to say this, you're a paid sponsor, everything. Din Tai Fung didn't pay me anything. If anything, I paid them, and I will still give them a shout out on
did
this
pay
show. I'll still give them a free sponsorship just because they have the best soup dumplings I've ever had.
Very good.
One of the best restaurants in Vegas, and one of the most efficient sweatshops I've ever seen.
You can't
Don't
say
laugh.
That. You got to cut that out.
And one of the most efficient,
say that.
one of the most efficient sweatshops I've ever seen.
You can't say sweatshops.
That's what's going on there.
You can say whatever you want. This isn't censored.
So we get to Din Tai Fung, and
A little bit of light, right?
it's myself, DJ White Mike, 8 out of 10. We got Cam, shout out Cam Cuspis. We got Rob, shout out Ronald Harrison.
Roboments.
And we got the one and only Jafar Mac Daddy James Haller, aka Big Jim, aka Jimmy. And together we put down 86 dumplings and 3 bottles of sake. And it was a hell of a meal. They had that sweatshop firing like I'd never seen before.
Remember when Rob dropped the plate?
And our associate, Ronald, dropped a plate on the floor and it shattered. And the
How did he
restaurant
do
went
that?
quiet. I don't know how he did, but the restaurant went quiet. You could hear a pin drop.
The waiter actually said it was the quietest he'd ever heard the restaurant.
The waiter in Vegas said it was the quietest he'd ever heard the Aria open air restaurant slash sweatshop. It was the quietest he'd ever heard it when Rob dropped that plate. And they all begged Rob. They said, "Do not pick up that plate.
He kept
It's
trying.
shattered.
Kept trying
The
to
glass
pick it up.
all over the floor." And Rob kept picking up the plate and put it on the
Put it on
table.
the table.
Dirty plate
Just-
on the table.
Plate, chunks.
They were more upset about him putting a dirty plate on the nice table than him disobeying their orders. But that's neither here nor there. And we had a couple bottles of sake. And then went home. That night was pretty mellow. I think you and I got lost in the Aria pickup for the lifts. And the next thing I know,
remember
we're at
on
the
the phone with
Desert
them for a
Wyndham trying to buy like Hot Pockets out of a vending machine.
Yo, we got some good snacks that night, actually. That was the night that we had the Fritos and like salsa and cheese.
And for those of you listening now that haven't had Fritos, salsa, and cheese, is a phenomenal mixture.
That's pretty good. And we had some like spicy swirl chips
Yeah.
too. I forget what they are, but
I wanna give a
post-production-
big
post-production,
shout
we can
out-
find them and
I want to
post
give a
them
big
on.
shout out to Fritos, the twisty ones with the barbecue. I think they're called. There's two kinds. So one are
Post-production, we'll find
Frito
it.
barbecues. One are one of the twisties.
We'll post the bag in the corner by your head.
Yeah.
Post-production.
Right here. Point.
Delish.
This one.
I know that one.
Yeah. So after that, the next morning was a big day for gambling. We had to be sharp. We had to be on it. So we mixed vitamin waters with Don Julio Blanco and liquid IVs and swirled them around and walked around the casino. And that's when the next chapter starts.
We went to CVS too.
And this, what did we get
That's
at
where we
CVS?
bought it. Well, so we were at MGM, and that's where you got those drinks, and that lasted us till CVS, where I bought us drinks.
Yeah. So the next chapter of the story is called sports gambling. And when we woke up that morning, we were pretty heavy and hard on the sports gambling. So we went and kind of aimlessly walked around Circa, got lunch at a place, and then ended up getting a table in the middle of the sports book. And
How much
had
was the table?
The table was 3,000.
I thought it was more than that.
Table was 3,000, but it was unlimited food and drink for 12 hours.
We took naps there.
And that's right where we wanted to be. So personally, I don't like to brag and I don't want people to get it twisted. I never win sports gambling, but when I'm with my boys in Vegas, I'll throw some bets out. I put 400 in bets and ended up winning $300 total. So I was up. I felt great. I spent it on the table there. But shout out to Rob Harrison for picking up most of the table. You're a real one. And then the order got messed up, so they brought us like 8 orders of onion rings.
Ugh.
After like 4 orders of onion rings, Mike had had enough and
I'll
he
never
passed
have
out.
another onion ring.
He couldn't eat another onion ring. He couldn't keep his eyes open another second. He passed out in the book. When Mike passed out in the book, it's contagious. I pass out in the book.
Then I woke
So we're
up.
sleeping together, basically. So we wake up, we gamble some more. We had a great waitress named Daisy. Daisy, if you see this, shout out. You're a great waitress for us. And then we went outdoors. And outdoors, there are free concerts on Fremont Street in Vegas.
Everybody knows those.
And that's where it really went down.
Tell us more about the free concert. What happened there when you found Mike? This was after
You're the director now?
sleeping.
He is now.
So we danced. We danced the night away. We danced the night to rock music and heavy rock music and other kinds of rock
I
music.
wonder what the girl
There
band.
were
There's
3 stages
girls. There's
of rock
3
music.
girls in
There were
the
girls
band.
playing. We were dancing with women in their 70s and 80s.
We were doing
We're
a good
spinning
deed.
them around.
Doing a good deed.
Everyone was having a good time, and then Mike took an unfortunate digger on the floor.
I battled the ground.
Mike battled the ground with an elderly woman.
Whoa, I don't remember that part.
She was old. She was old.
I remember the ground and a bloody nose and speaking with the cops.
So the cops pull up on us. Unfortunately for them, it's 2 women cops who Mike had taken a liking to. So Mike said, "What are you guys
We
doing
can't
tonight?"
release this podcast. This can't get out.
And they said, "Just clean his nose up with all the blood and we'll let you guys go." And we didn't know who was trying to let who go after Mike hit on the women cop. Because they were trying to go. Well, we were also trying to go. But apparently Mike was not trying to go. Or Mike was trying to go with them in a way other than being arrested.
No, I was okay being arrested.
So that was a little bit of a pickle, and we ended up getting out of it. And I think after that, we went home.
Good. I needed to.
We took an Uber home, an Uber XL SUV, black car, and we listened to Big X the Plug all the way home. And then the next morning, we woke up, and I had the worst breakfast pizza I've ever had in Vegas airport. It made me sick for like 3 days.
Hey, at least you
It was
ate,
terrible
dude.
breakfast pizza.
When I got home that day, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I had like a 3.5 days worth of hangover because I wasn't hungover at all in Vegas. Because we woke up and started drinking every day, so I was like good. I never was hungover. I felt great the whole time for 3.5 days. And then when I got home at Sunday, after not drinking all day, I had 2 beers before we went to the airport. I think my flight wasn't until 3. So I had 2 beers early on.
Oof.
And then I was fine until like I got home and I was relaxing, and then my like forearms started to get tingly, and like my hands started tingling. I was like, oh, this feels real weird. And then like my chest started to tighten up. I thought I was having a heart attack. But I was having like an anxiety panic attack, and I was like extremely dehydrated. I like got out of bed and like walked around. I was like, oh, I think I'm having a stroke. And I like went to like the cabinet and I pulled out some like saltine crackers, and I ate like one of those, and I had some like club soda, and I had a little club soda, and that like brought me down from like, I think I need to go to the hospital. Thought I was having a stroke. I was so hungover, dude. That was Sunday night. Monday, I felt awful all day Monday. That was like a day and a half, 2 days later.
Yep.
3.5
Some
day
guys,
hangover.
Some guys just can't handle Vegas.
I handled it very well.
You handled it okay.
I had 3.5 straight days of greatness. You're going to pay for that.
We did discover what some would call a vortex, what others would call a loophole.
Refill tray.
But we did discover a loophole in the Vegas system, which is hard to find. So when Mike wanted to sleep in the sports book, and they wouldn't let him sleep in the first one that we didn't have a table at, Mike had discovered that if you just keep ordering massages for $25 in 10-minute increments, while you're getting a massage, you can just sleep. So
It's a loophole.
I feel like we'll appreciate that loophole for generations to come.
Yep.
We all thank you for that.
Yep.
We thank you for your time tonight and sharing your story.
Is it over?
I don't think your story ends here.
Okay. All right.
I don't think your story ends here, but it might. This podcast might end here tonight.
Okay. Cut.
So for those of you joining for the first time, which is all of you because this is my first podcast, thank you for joining. We appreciate you listening. God bless you. God bless America. Thanks for listening to the Easy Ian podcast.